All right. Demasked. I don't know what episode this is, but it's in the 30s somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere in the 30s.
Yeah. So please introduce yourself. Good jazz.
Okay, I will introduce myself. My name is Rue Neumann. I am the general manager for Stiltbeast Studios, and I work at Dark Hour Haunted House.
Cool. Yeah. It's such a title.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
I love my job.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not? I mean, that's a dream for a lot of people, is to be able to work on props and masks and haunted house stuff all the time.
It is. It truly is.
That's a thing for a lot of people that they want to do.
It's a lot of work to get there, but it got to sacrifice a lot to be able to get to a point that you can do this full time.
Right. It's got to be a love.
Mm-hmm.
No one does it. No one does haunt because they're trying to get rich.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, there are people that try to do haunt because they're trying to get rich.
They are, but you know what?
Failing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't stick around very long. That's my point. Like, it's like being in a death metal band. No one plays death metal because they're trying to get rich. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They do it because they love it.
Yep.
If you don't have the passion to make masks all the time, you can't do that full time.
Yeah,
because you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be fun because it's dirty, nasty work. But it's funny because I'm making monsters all the time and I'm making cool stuff, but I go home filthy every single day.
Well, at least you're doing your job then, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool. So how did you get your start in the haunted house industry and doing all that?
I am kind of an oddball when it comes to how I started in the haunted house industry. Most people's answer to that question is, I started in so-and-so's garage, when I was a young teenager. I was 22 years old. I was going to motorcycle mechanic school at the time in Phoenix, Arizona, and I ran into some guys at a gas station that invited us to go hang out with their friends that were about to get off work at Alice Cooper's Nightmare in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's a typical story. We show up there and they're like, oh, hey, new people, look at you. We're shorthanded tomorrow night. Why don't you guys come on down and come help, see what it's like. And that was how I got hooked into working at haunted houses. And yeah,
wow. Alice Cooper.
Huh? Alice Cooper's Nightmare, multi-million-dollar haunted house.
Oh, wow.
It was my very first haunted house that I ever worked for.
That's amazing. Wow.
It's fun. And then, then I did a few more different haunts while working down in the Phoenix area while I was going to school down there. I worked at Bedlam Manor, and then I worked at The Nest. And yeah, The Nest was another award-winning giant haunted house that was down in the Phoenix area. I got to work a few years there. And then I joined the military.
Oh, okay.
So, and while I was in the military, I still, anytime I wasn't deployed, like to, the Middle East somewhere, I was finding a haunt to work for.
Oh, cool.
So I still worked for haunted houses even though I was in the military. And I was in the Army. And then, my leadership finds out that I'm working for haunted houses in my spare time. And turns out the Army needs haunted houses built for them also.
For entertainment.
For the people that live on post and all of those type of things. They love haunted houses too. So then I started building haunted houses for the Army come Halloween seasons. And now that was just Halloween season stuff while I was in the military. But I'm probably the only person you're ever going to meet that has won a medal for...
You won a medal.
I won a medal.
You got a medal from the military for doing haunt.
For building a haunted house, yes. For building haunted houses.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're probably like, Who else? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's probably like a 1 in a million medal.
Yeah,
right there, at least.
Yeah, it was my volunteer service award one, because it was all in my spare time that I was working on this haunted house. But it took up so much of my spare time outside of work that I got all of my hours to get my volunteer service award medal.
Right.
Building the haunted house. And I did it in one season.
Because you're there constantly leading up to haunted house season.
Yep.
On the military base, were you like restricted by any rules or anything? You weren't.
Oh, I mean, there's certain things that you avoid just out of courtesy, and honestly, they're things I avoid anyway in haunted houses. Whenever I'm trying to do anything in haunted house, I don't like guns and military and anything related to that in a haunted house, and I think it's in poor taste, and that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. It's supposed to be kind of make believe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun. I prefer a fantasy environment, and it's a little too close to real life when you start mixing that stuff in there. And I have PTSD.
Right.
Part of the big reason why I can do this full time as a full time haunter is that I'm 100% disabled from the Army.
Okay.
I am military. I'm military retired, medically retired from the military, because it's I have PTSD. I have a lot of issues with that, and haunting is how I get through it. Haunting is my therapy.
Right.
There is no other. There's no other thing for veterans or that anybody that's been in the military that can put you in the hunter-prey mindset,
right? Like
haunting can.
Right.
You can play paintball, but even then, that never you're not doing that for 5 hours at a time.
Right.
And paintball is still you're still shooting guns at each other.
Yeah.
It's a little too close to home.
Right.
For it when you're trying to do it.
Sense.
This is something I can safely, in a fantasy environment, turn myself into, the hunter prey mode, and go and use a lot of the skills that I learned in the military that just inherently I was in the infantry for 7 years.
Yeah.
7 of my 10 years that I was in the military was infantry. And that's, it's keeping your head on a swivel. It's staying alert. It's paying attention to little details, to body movement, things like that. It's all very useful skills.
Yeah.
When you put them in a haunt.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure. I was going to say that, or it could be like playing games like Squad, online games like Squad. Have you ever heard of Squad before?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And again, it's too close to home.
Yeah.
It's funny. I used to use this analogy a lot when I was in the military. Is when people used to invite me over to come and play, Call of Duty at their house or something like that. It was like, that's like a plumber getting home and going and playing Mario.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, I'm good.
I've had enough pipes for the day.
For sure. Yeah.
So, yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. No thanks. It's my day to day was Call of Duty. I don't need to go home and play it too.
Yeah.
Although, lots of guys in the military totally did. Don't get me wrong, but
yes, I enjoy more fantasy games. That's why I like RPGs and stuff like that. So I get it. I'm not a Call of Duty guy at all. I like to play crazy fantasy games and Baldur's Gate.
Yep. No, I told you. I told him earlier too that I have one video game that I play, and I played the exact same one for 7 years.
Yeah,
and it's the only game I play.
Yeah, that game's a hard one, man. It's hard.
Well, I still learn new things. Brand new,
Yeah,
7 years later, I'm still learning new things about the game. It's ridiculous.
There's a lot to that game. So how'd you get involved with here at Dark Hour?
Well, here at Dark Hour, after I got out of the military, I immediately went and found another haunt that I was working with. I went and, okay, well, now I'm retired and now I have a constant paycheck. Now I can go have fun. So I went and found another haunt that I was working at, that I worked there for 3 years. I'd gotten to the point where I was their actor manager, which was very close to a director type position there.
Right.
I was basically a secondhand the second in charge, and things went poorly, as they often do. You hear it a lot in this industry, is things went poorly, and in any case, I stopped working there. And when I stopped working there, I made a post on my Facebook that I no longer was associated with that haunt. And it was just a professional post. However, when while I was still actor manager there, I had arranged for our actors to come up here to Dark Hour on a couple of occasions, and we did guest spots with them. Oh, cool. And I got to know Alan through that way, and I got to know Alan through, different conventions, and that I'd bought products from him before, and he had invited me to come and, check out his shop before. And so it's quite funny that I made that post that said I am no longer associated with, the said haunted house. And within a half an hour, I got a phone call from Alan. And Alan, I answered the phone, and Alan's like, "So you're no longer associated with, that haunt?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No, I'm done there." And I gave him the rundown on what happened. And he's like, "Okay, well, so you work for me now, right?" And that was how I got hired at Dark Hour.
That's cool.
He's a bit forward, and he definitely knows what he wants, and he goes out and reaches for it. So
that's cool. Yeah,
he just told me that I worked for him, and it was, at the time, I was still living 3 hours away from here.
Oh shit!
The first haunted house the other haunted house that I had been working for was 2 hours away from my house, but in the opposite direction.
Oh, yeah.
So then once I was done working there, then it was like, okay, well, now I work for Dark Hour, which is another hour in the away from where I was. And I was commuting every show weekend to come up here to come do the show.
Would you commute back and forth 3 hours each way?
Yes. And then I was also doing it multiple times a week because I was working in Alan's shop on off nights. I was doing that too. So, yeah, it was
yikes.
It was a lot. It was a lot when I first started.
Yeah, that's crazy. 3 hours?
Yeah, I was commuting 3 hours each way. Yeah,
wow.
To come and work in a haunted house. But
wow, that's dedication. Because I get that. People tell me I'm crazy because when I first started at Hellscream, I was an hour away, depending. Mm-hmm. If I left from work, I was an hour and a half away.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it'd take 2 hours because traffic can be a real pain. And little town I lived in at the time, Canyon City, it's a little town that's nestled right up against the mountains. And to get to Colorado Springs, there's a 2-lane highway to get to Springs.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then once you get to Springs, traffic can be a nightmare on I-25 right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I get it.
Yep.
Dedication,
I used to ride motorcycles a lot, and I used to go through your area quite a bit.
Oh, really?
Well,
you're in the Army, right? So were you stationed at Fort Carson?
I was not. I just happened to take a lot of road trips that go through Colorado on.
Okay.
I grew up in northern Minnesota.
Okay.
And then I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and I moved there on my motorcycle. So
oh, wow.
Yeah, I've done many, many, many trips cross country on my motorcycles. So
well, I bet it allowed you to see some really cool stuff though.
It's beautiful. It's one of my very favorite things, and if I get a chance to do it, it's great to just get out on my bike and go.
Yeah, so you still ride motorcycles? Oh, yeah. Therapeutic. It seems like it's really therapeutic for a lot of people out there.
Oh yeah.
There's recently that video that went viral in Colorado there with that dude. He went from Colorado Springs, like the middle of Colorado Springs, to downtown Denver in like 20 minutes on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is insanity.
Yeah, I won't tell anybody terrible stories about things that I used to do back when I was a
something
kid.
Similar.
It was very similar.
My thing is like if you do something stupid like that, just don't film it.
Yeah. There's,
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. there's a lot of that.
Anyway, so what, as the, making masks and stuff like that, what are some of your struggles you have with that creative process?
It was learning to use reference was probably my biggest thing for being artistic. There was a lot of, a lot of stigma against, pay what comes out of you artistically has to be 100% natural and has to be used straight out of your head. And Alan, in teaching me how to make masks and stuff, got me, using reference and using, you don't have to copy somebody's art. You don't have to copy something somebody else did, when you can just go, okay, I like this nose from this piece, or I like these teeth, I like the way this brow sits,
Right.
when sculpting. So you can grab bits and pieces and make them your own. Right.
That makes sense. Yeah. Was like sculpting, was that like a learning process, or how did you start like really sculpting?
I probably spent a year and a half in Alan's shop, just working in his shop and pouring up masks and, just doing shop work, trimming masks and doing all of that stuff before I ever sculpted anything.
Oh, okay.
There was a long time when it was just, being around and learning how to do the process and how to work the process, and watching Alan sculpt and learning different tips and tricks and things like that from the way he did it in order to make before I ever started doing it.
Right.
And then, then it became doing it myself and getting a feel for different things and learning Alan. Alan is a fantastically fast sculptor, which is a massive talent that he has that I've been very fortunate to pick up tips and tricks on the way he does things.
Right.
That I can be a very fast sculptor. I'm not near as fast as Alan is, but it's neat to pick up things like that. In doing when you're building sculpts, because just being able to be fast makes you valuable.
All right. Yeah, because you're not something that...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense. So it shouldn't take you like a week,
Yeah, there's
so it takes you a few days.
There are a lot. There are a lot of people. There's learning the difference between I can spend 8 hours on the sculpt and get it to this point, or I can spend 24 hours on this sculpt. What's the difference in, at what point is it not getting any better, or not getting exponentially better?
Right.
It's getting things to a point where it's done and it's finished and it looks really good. Maybe it doesn't have quite as many hours sunk into it, the teeny tiny fine detail stuff, but that's the stuff that absolutely eats time, and time is money.
Right.
So it's you start losing money getting deep into ridiculous tiny detail stuff. Now I tend to take my sculpts pretty far into detail. I get pretty darn detailed with my stuff, but it's still there is definitely a point where I could nitpick and sit on something hours and hours and hours and hours. And something I've learned from Alan that's one of his favorite sayings is finished is his favorite color.
Finished
is his favorite color. A lot of people ask, what color should I paint this thing? Done. That's what color it is. Yeah. Exactly. So that was something that I've been very fortunate in working with Alan, that I've really taken to heart. And working here at Dark Hour is just sometimes it takes making a decision to get some things done, and making decisions as an artist. I know so many different artists that toil and
get meticulous,
get so meticulous about their art, and it's not perfect. I hate it. It's this thing, and it's like, just finish it. Just get it done. Get it done. Yeah. When art is your job, you need to be able to make time is a very, very valuable point of that.
Right. That makes sense to me. Yeah. So I'm not much of an artist, but my dad, he's an artist. Mm-hmm. But like he used to have his own street rod business. He'd restore cars and do all that stuff. And he's one of those guys that spend hours buffing out a paint job and it's got one little thing here and it's got to look perfect. So yeah, I get it.
Yep. And at what point are you spending so many hours buffing out that paint job?
Yeah.
For the one person in a million that might notice this tiny imperfection when they're looking at it at a car show, maybe.
Yeah.
Now, also put that. Never mind my radio.
No, you're good.
I knew. See, I went and silenced my phone, and then I figured that that's not even my radio.
It's that one.
That's
all right.
Alan's radio.
It's fine. It's good. It's good. It's an artistic choice. We're talking about artistry. It's an artistic choice, people. It's fine. It's cool. We're just going to roll with it.
But, now you take that same street rod and you put it in a dark haunted house where it's going to be viewed for 20 seconds at a time.
Yeah. No one cares.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. At what point does detail are you totally... Especially because we specifically build our masks and costumes to be used in haunted houses.
Right. Yeah. Nothing has to look perfect.
No.
In a haunted house because of the lighting.
It has to look great. It has it has to look
good.
Good, and it has to have high detail or high contrast. Not so much fine detail.
Right.
A lot of fine detail stuff gets totally lost once you put it in a haunted house.
Because the dark and all that.
I have an absolutely beautiful immortal mask that I bought years ago. I bought this beautiful peel the face off the front of immortal mask, and it looks fantastic on the convention room floor under the fluorescent lighting, or under fluorescent lighting standing out front of a haunted house. But the second you put it inside of the haunted house, you lost it was all this really tight, beautiful muscle structure stuff on the underneath the on the underlayer of the mask, and it absolutely just went to one single color of brown, underneath the light in the haunted house. So I took my $1,000 immortal mask and I totally repainted it.
Oh, cool!
And I've never seen... I did that during one of Alan's live videos. I totally just punched the detail, took all the detail, punched the hard detail, and took all the fine detail out of the mask. And I've never seen so many people flip out at me.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a $1,000 immortal mask. But it doesn't do what I want it to do.
Right.
So I needed to change it. So I repainted it.
I feel like I have a CFX mask. That's what I wear. I love that thing.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
But the thing is I didn't want something that was overly detailed, Mm-hmm. It has its details and stuff like that, but it's not crazy detailed because I was like, it's so dark most of the time, and strobe lights and chaos, and it's just like, it's fine,
Yeah.
Or I fork over the extra cash for something that's been like meticulously hand painted,
Yeah, it's the immortal mask I'm talking about. It has this magnetic faceplate that magnets onto the front of it, and then you peel it off, and it's all like muscles and blood and gross.
Yeah.
But all of that just went to a single color when you peeled the face off. So I went and added bone, and I had changed the color a whole bunch so that it's very high contrast on it and took out a lot of the fine detail just so that it showed better in the haunted house.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
It's things you learn from doing this. With masks especially, it doesn't matter how much it costs. It's still a tool for you to do your job in the haunted house. And I've grabbed immortal masks. I've grabbed $high silicone masks, things like that, and grabbed a pair of scissors and cut ear holes out of them, or opened up the eye sockets on them better so that you could see better and things like that. And
I had our owner and general manager help me cut my eye holes when I got mine because I could see, but it was just enough where it was like messing with my vision, give me tunnel vision. And I'm one of those characters that is very active and runs around a lot, like the whole night. So couldn't have that.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people, there are definitely a lot of people that are like, I can't believe you cut that $1,000 mask or that $600 mask, that you just took a pair of scissors to it. I'll do it. I'll do it without blinking.
Right.
If it's not working the way it's needs to work.
It needs to fit your need.
Yep.
Right. So you got to make it to fit your need.
Yep.
Because otherwise, what's the point?
Yep. If I'm wearing this plastic bag on my head of a silicone mask, I better be able to hear, at the same time too. So cut ear holes,
for sure. Yeah, I can fit a radio earpiece underneath mine. It's tight, but it fits.
I don't even know if I can. I got a big old head.
Yeah. So I got a lot of hair.
Yeah.
That's got to go in that mask.
I feel you.
Yeah, and I always wonder, why is my hair so tangled at the end of the night?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
No idea.
Yeah. Crazy. That's awesome. So what are some of the struggles you deal with, like just like managing the haunt, like during haunt season?
Well, we have a great team. That there are a lot of people that manage different departments and run different things while here at Dark Hour, and it all depends. What struggles? We don't really have a lot of struggles with it. It's such a good team, and all of the people I work with are so good at what they do that there aren't a lot of struggles. And I'm mostly running the shop aspect, the Stiltbeast Studios, and that's more outgoing orders to other haunted houses and things like that. And yes, there's still I'm making masks for us at Dark Hour and making us product too, but then it just comes down to
do you usually help with the shows then, or?
Yeah, I mean, I help with shows. I tend to do actor training.
Okay.
And then I give advice where it needs to be. I do a lot of actor training. I do stilt walker training for our classes and a lot of tips and tricks and things like that. I was the last year, not this last haunt season, but haunt season before last. I was actually the casting director also. So I was the casting director, and the guy that is the casting director now was my assistant. But we knew right from the get-go that he was going to be taking it over for me because I was going to be doing a lot more with the Stiltbeast Studios.
Okay.
So
that's what you spend most of your time doing.
I spend almost all of my time making orders, making custom things, or making sure orders are fulfilled.
Yeah. I'm sure that takes up all the time.
Yeah, there's not a lot of extra time to be able to do other things.
Do filling orders, and you're always pouring all year round doing filling orders.
We're always making masks, making different props, different things, costumes to go out to other places, and we year round always.
Yeah. So besides Halloween, what is the busiest time for that?
Post-Trans World.
Well, obvious. I guess it was a stupid question now I think about it.
Yeah, we do probably 3/4 of our business at that one convention.
Yeah.
That we get 3/4 of our orders during this convention. It's coming up in I think
next month.
3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Oh, I can start counting the days at this point because it's real important, and we have a lot to do.
Yeah.
And of course, you always wait too long and start it too late.
Yeah. Procrastination, Yeah. You're like, oh, it'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yeah. Then next thing you know, you're here for like 16 hours.
Yeah. Well, right now I have 28 masks to make for the show.
Crazy.
And those are the absolutely have to make masks.
Yeah.
The ones outside of that are...
How long does it usually take you to...
I can do about 10 masks a day.
Okay.
If that's the only thing I'm doing.
Okay.
And that's, well, I can pour up 10 masks and have them ready to go the next day. So I could paint, base, do all that. If that was the only thing I was doing, I could do 10 masks a day. However, I never get that kind of free time that I can do the one thing all day long.
What's the most masks you did in a day?
Probably about 10.
Probably about 10. Yeah. And that's a balls to the wall day.
Yeah, that's a day before Transworld. Like
day before
we got to get all these done so we can take them to the convention. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. How long did that take you? Like, just out of curiosity.
Oh, that's a 12-hour day probably.
Oh, at least that's not too bad. It's not like it's like an 18-hour day or something crazy like that.
I've had plenty of those.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of the 24-hour stay up all night working on things before you go nights, and I'm getting too old for that crap.
You can't procrastinate anymore.
Yeah, I'm getting too old for that crap. Too much experience.
So before you worked for Dark Hour and Stiltbeast Studios, did you work on masks at all before then, or?
Not really. I did retouch up paints. I did mask repairs and things like that. And I'd done a lot of prop work. And I actually had worked in mostly silicones.
Okay.
And silicone repair and silicone build-up stuff before I worked for
Allen. Cool.
And
we were talking about that silicone.
Mm-hmm.
Super expensive.
It's so expensive.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. But I am very proficient at repairing silicone masks.
Okay.
And that's a skill that I'm very lucky that I have gotten the time to get good at, even though I don't use it very much anymore.
Right. I mean, that's a service. I mean, I bet there's people out there who want their silicone mask because something happened to it,
There are probably a ton of people that could that would require repairs onto silicone masks. And hey, send me a message.
Yeah.
if you ever need, you'd be surprised what I can fix.
Oh yeah. What's like the craziest silicone thing you fixed?
We had a mask that somebody found tucked into a corner. It probably was torn in 20 pieces. It was
20 pieces. It was a silicone mask
all shredded up. Somebody had left it on the floor and it had been kicked around and nobody had ever noticed what it was really. And one day, it was just a pile of junk sitting in the corner, and I picked it up, and it was one of those ones that had been laying on the floor the whole time I'd worked at this haunt. It was just this junk thing, and it was like, oh yeah, that's the old silicone mask from so-and-so from whoever years ago, and nobody gave a crap about it. And I picked it up and I'm like looking at it and very, laying all the pieces down on top of each other, that it's just had all these tears in it. Now, it wasn't 20 individual pieces, but like shredded all over the place. And I laid it all onto each other. I'm like, it was a cool mask.
Yeah.
And it was a big shame that it was this really cool, like it was a cool vampire bat mask.
Oh,
that
cool.
was really neat looking.
Yeah.
And that was actually it was one of the first things that taught me how to do silicone repair, because I took it and I put it on an oversized wig head, which, most of the mannequin head styrofoam heads are tiny.
Right.
So you can't do a lot of work on it. But if you get the bigger ones, you can do some work on it. So I laid it on there and I took a bunch of T-pins and I pinned it all together and put it onto the
Cool. That's awesome. So have you ever poured any like silicone masks or anything like that?
I've done a couple of silicone masks. One of the very first things that I ever did working in silicone was a full body life cast.
Oh, wow.
I don't suggest starting at that point when you're learning how to do
Yeah, that's an expensive mistake to make.
It was a full body life. It wasn't a mistake. We pulled it off.
Yeah.
I don't suggest doing it.
I'm sure you're nervous as hell, dude.
Yeah, we did a full body life cast, stand up, front and back, so it's not even a flat back one.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
And something you really shouldn't do, and you don't know what you're doing and have never done this before and are just doing it from videos you watched online.
You're like, God, I hope this works out.
By the way, it wasn't my plan to do this. It was a hey you from my boss at the time.
Oh, hey, do this thing.
Do this thing, but we should not do this thing. We don't know how to do this thing. No, you can do this thing. It's fine.
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we very successfully made a full body life cast and then cast a silicone body from that full body life cast. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. With a full skeleton inside of it, actually, too. So
wow. Wow. What a trial by fire, as they would say.
It was dumb. It was dumb.
It was irresponsible, he says.
It was absolutely irresponsible.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So do you act a lot too, or
I do.
Not so much?
I act a lot. I act as much as I can, really. Still.
Yeah.
Acting is really it's what got me into doing this in the first place. It's my first love, and it's a lot of people in this industry, once they've been around it for a while, they kind of get away from acting.
Yeah.
I've noticed that, and I'm very lucky that we all very much reinforce that here at Dark Hours, that pretty much we're all actors at heart, and we all try and get in and act as much as we can.
Right.
And that's, Alan as the owner, he's the first one to try and get into a costume to go play whenever he can. So he very much encourages everybody else to do that also.
Yeah, and that's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring to your actors and the people that work with you at the haunted house.
Right.
To see you in there acting and playing, and they can learn so much from our veteran people that it's one of the best times I ever had in a haunted house, which it's almost terrible to admit, but one of the very best times I ever had in a haunted house was we were all in the graveyard here and it's a big, large, area to haunt in. But it was about 7 of us that were working in the graveyard at the time. But it was Alan and myself and Bart Butler.
Oh, wow.
And Stacy, who also works here and has been haunting for about 20 years. And a couple other people that have, massive resumes of working in haunted houses. We were all haunting in the same area for about a half an hour.
Yeah.
All together. And I mean, just demolishing people.
Yeah.
Because we're all very good at what we do.
Yeah.
And we're just absolutely demolishing people. And it was really fun. But after about a half an hour, we all looked at each other and went, this is dumb, and we're really wasting. We're having a whole lot of fun, but the rest of the show is going to suffer if we don't spread out and go
do something else.
Yeah, but it just so happened, that we all ended up in the same area together for about a half an hour, and I've never had so much fun haunting with so much experienced people. But you can learn so much from people with more experience than you also.
Yeah, I try to because, like I said, I mentioned to you earlier, this past year is my 13th year haunted house acting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to, especially the folks who are just starting out, I try to pass on some of that knowledge and try to give them pointers and stuff like that, because it really helps. And then once they figure it out, it's a big confidence boost.
Yep.
Especially after the first couple nights or stuff like that, because sometimes you see people struggle for a night or two before it really clicks.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And that's probably one of my very favorite things about haunting and haunted houses in general, is there have been multiple times when I've watched this super shy, super, introverted kid walk in the door, coming to come haunt with you. and they're totally shy and totally don't talk to people and just stick to themselves. And then, second and third night they start talking to people and they start making friends, and they realize that we are the freaks, geeks, and weirdos of the world, and you're not going to get any weirder than any of us, so you might as well just let your freak flag fly. Freak flag fly.
I like
wow,
fry
that
better.
was hard.
Freak flag fry. I like that. This is our freak flag fry. Friday fry down.
But so then they start realizing that, and then they come out of their shell a little bit with the cast,
right?
And then their acting performance starts to improve a little bit because they start to get more comfortable. They start to get a little bit more confidence from what they're doing there. And next thing you know, 2-3 years down the road, they are these huge extroverts that, command attention where they go because they have confidence.
Right.
They, can stand up for themselves.
Right.
They're not afraid of every little thing that comes their way because they can think fast. They can react to it. All of these things that you learn from haunting after time.
It plays into your regular life.
And it plays into your regular life. I have a friend that she was this little mousy, quiet girl that came, and she was my apprentice when I was a makeup artist in my early years of haunting. And she was super, super quiet, but super, super talented makeup artist. Way before she was using airbrush, I taught her how to use airbrush and things like that. And she got better and got better and got better. And she went from super shy, wouldn't talk to anybody, was super scared to even put makeup on other people when we very first started out. She used to do fantastic. She showed me all these pictures when she first started of all these makeups she had done on herself that were amazing. I was like, you need to start doing these for other people. But she was so shy that even she didn't think she would be good enough to put it on other people. By the end of 5 years of working with her, she had come out of her shell so much that she was unrecognizable as the same person that she used to be. Wild, crazy, used to go to, all of these dance clubs and
cool.
Actually ended up as an exotic dancer after a while. And
cool.
Super self-confident and super,
that's
absolutely stood up for herself.
Total turnaround in personality.
Absolute turnaround in personality.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And you never know what that personality is just hiding inside of these shy people that just don't have the confidence to be it.
I will say haunting helped me come out of my shell. I would not be the person I am today without haunting.
Yeah, me either. Absolutely. It's I was shy and scared of everything back when I was young.
Yeah.
And then I was going to motorcycle mechanic school and things just weren't
clicking,
going the way I wanted them to. I was realizing that this is a really fun hobby.
Yeah, it's the best hobby.
That it's a well, no, I mean motorcycles. Motorcycles was a really fun hobby that was not so much for me as a job. The day-to-day job of being a mechanic is hard and it's depressing, and there's nothing dirty and gross and all of that. And not that I'm this is dirty and gross, but
it's different.
But it's a different kind of dirty and gross. Yes,
it's different.
It's not a stay under your nails, never always
greasy.
Smell like oil kind of job. But
might smell like latex every now and then.
Yeah. Yay, cat pee.
Like, do you have cats? No, I just work with a lot of latex. You're like, I'm not a freak, I swear.
I just bathe in latex. It's fine.
It's like a mud bath, but it's just really a hot latex bath.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awful.
Well, there's plenty of pants that I have that if you didn't know what I did for a living, the giant latex spots and white goo that's permanently attached to my pants is
crazy,
frightening.
Yeah, people are like, what is going on? It's funny.
I have a rule that anything, I cannot wear anything too dark hour that I don't want latex on. Like,
that's
at
fair.
all.
That's fair. Anything you don't want ruined, just don't wear it.
Yep. It's just not allowed to come here.
Yeah.
And pretty much I've resorted that all of my clothes are totally allowed to get ruined because I'll just get new ones.
For sure.
I have hundreds of T-shirts, and people are always giving me T-shirts. And, we do a lot of traveling and go and check out other haunted houses and things like that. And it seems like they always want to throw you a free T-shirt.
Right.
So I have hundreds of T-shirts.
I have a lot of T-shirts too, but mine are like band T-shirts because I go to a lot.
And you always have to get a T-shirt when you go to a show.
It's the best.
Right?
Well, and this day and age, it's the best way to support a band because they don't get money from album sales.
No.
They get some money from you buying the concert ticket, but really where they're making their money is on their merch.
Yep.
And
if you want to support a band, you buy a T-shirt.
Yeah, most bands I like to go see, they're playing clubs. They're playing like 500, 1,000 people, 1,200 max if it's a crazy night.
Yep.
So, and that's, I don't know, it's a good way to support. And then you got something cool.
Yeah.
So,
but you have a cool memento.
That being said, I always wear them. I'm not worried about them getting ruined or whatever.
Yeah, that's me too. It's I always wear, like, there are select couple of shirts that I don't wear to work, but they're reserved for wearing for going to conventions and
right
things like
that, I have 2 nice dress shirts. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah,
I have 3.
See, we're about on the same level. Yeah. Yep. It's like, this is only for nice occasions.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm the same way. It's crazy. That's awesome, and I appreciate you guys having me out here. And
we love showing people what we do.
Yeah.
I love this facility, and I love working for Alan. I love working for Dark Hour. I love working with all the people that I work with. I've never worked some place that is so positive all of the time.
Right.
It's quite amazing. Like, we come in, and very first thing everybody does in the morning is give each other a fist bump. Like,
oh, cool.
Like a power up fist bump. Every single person, goes around and they got to get your fist bumps in before you start your day. It's that's just a great way to start your day,
Right.
Every day.
What, do you guys usually have normal office hours around here or what?
Well, we have a morning meeting Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 10 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. We sleep until 10. We don't go to work till 10.
That's fine.
But
there's nothing wrong with that.
We also, work stupid hours when we have to.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Well, listen, dude, I've worked in the restaurant industry my whole adult life, so I know about stupid ass weird hours.
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
I get it. Trust me.
I was in the military for 10 years. You want to talk about stupid hours?
Yeah, right. Or like bartending, stupid hours.
Yeah.
You're not getting home till 3:30 in the morning. So, yeah, I get it. Yeah, like I said, I appreciate it. And where can people find your stuff?
You can find my stuff on the Stiltbeast Studios website. You can come and see us at Dark Hour Haunted House. You can come and see us at any of the major haunted house conventions. We pretty much go to all of them. Come say hi. I'm around at all of them.
Cool. Well, thanks for doing this.
I love doing it. It's been great being here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you. I'll have to do it again sometime.
Alrighty.